What's up mga kascience? So for today, we're going to talk about the circulatory system and how the circulatory system supplies oxygen and other nutrients to different parts of the body. So let's start first by talking about the chapter concept map once again. So the human body system is always going to be affected by common ailments that can be prevented by practicing healthy lifestyle and proper care. The human body system, like the circulatory system, includes the heart, blood, and blood vessels. So your circulatory system is composed of the heart, blood, and blood vessels. These parts perform different functions. Let's start first by talking about the heart. So the heart is a muscular organ about the size of your closed fist. It beats 70 to 80 times per minute to distribute blood to the different parts of your body. Now let's talk about the chambers of the heart. Your heart has two sides, the left and the right sides. They are separated by what we call a septum. Each has an upper and lower chamber. The upper chamber is called the atria, singular for atrium, while the lower chamber is called ventricle. Overall, the heart has four chambers: the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the left ventricle. The thin-walled atria collect blood to the heart, while the thick-walled ventricle pumps blood out of the heart. Do you know that the sound of your heartbeat is lub-dub? The heartbeat is a result of alternating contraction and relaxation of the atria and ventricles. Up next is valves of the heart. Valves of the heart are flaps of tissues that prevent the backflow of blood as it flows within the heart. The valves open when the atria or ventricles contract and close when the atria or ventricles relax. Valves are named based on its location. The valves between the atrium and the ventricle are called the atrioventricular valves. Examples of atrioventricular valves are the tricuspid valve, found between the right atrium and the right ventricle, and the bicuspid valve, found between the left atrium and the left ventricle. Another set of valves located between the arteries and ventricles is called the semilunar valves. Pulmonary semilunar valve is found between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery that leads to the lungs. The aortic semilunar valve is found between the left ventricle and the aorta. Up next is blood. Blood is considered to be the river of life because of substances it carries. An adult human body contains about 5 liters of blood. When blood is examined with the naked eye, it appears to be a singular substance. However, blood is actually a mixture of blood cells, cell fragments, and fluids. Blood cells refers to the solid component of the blood. This includes the red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Red blood cells, or erythrocytes, are the most abundant blood cells. They make up 40 to 45% of all cells in the blood. They are produced in the bone marrow. They are also round with thick edges and thin centers. As such, it has a biconcave disc shape. They also carry proteins that determine blood types. Do you know why blood is red? The red color of the blood is due to the presence of the pigment called hemoglobin. The hemoglobin binds with oxygen, hence, the erythrocytes or red blood cells carry and transport oxygen throughout the body. They circulate and live for 120 days around the body. The white blood cells, or leukocytes, are relatively bigger but lesser in number compared to the red blood cells. Their primary function is to defend the body from the microorganisms that can cause infection. White blood cells engulf germs and produce antibodies that can kill germs. Now, platelets are the smallest blood cells. They are irregularly shaped cell fragments like RBCs or red blood cells. They are also produced by the bone marrow. When you get a cut, bleeding happens. During this time, platelets are at work, making the blood clot to prevent and stop bleeding when there is a damaged tissue. Now, have you experienced getting burns? And have you noticed the clear liquid that accumulate from the burned skin? Now, this is your plasma. Plasma is the liquid component that makes up 55% of the blood. Plasma is roughly 90% water and contains proteins and other substances like oxygen and nutrients. Your blood cells are suspended as well in the plasma. Now let's talk about blood vessels. Blood vessels are like roads of a busy city. They are tubular passageways of the blood. Blood vessels are classified as artery, vein, and capillary. Arteries are muscular, thick-walled, and elastic blood vessels. Their elasticity adapts to the great pressure of the blood from the heart. Most arteries carry oxygen-rich blood away from the heart to the different parts of the body. They also branch out into smaller arteries called the arterioles. Right now, touch your wrist. Do you feel the throbbing or vibrating movement? That is your pulse. It indicates the beating of your heart. It is brought about by the flow of blood that is pumped through the arteries of the wrists. The number of heartbeats in 1 minute is your pulse rate. Now let's talk about veins. Veins are thin-walled blood vessels that are more elastic than arteries due to the low blood pressure. They have valves to ensure the blood will only flow in one direction. They branch into smaller veins as well, called the venules, that join the capillaries. Most veins carry oxygen for blood back to the heart. Capillaries are the smallest and thinnest blood vessels in which form junction between arterioles and venules. The capillary walls are thin to allow materials or substances to diffuse into and out of the blood. It is the blood vessel for gas exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide. Up next is the types of blood circulation. There are two types of blood circulation: pulmonary and systematic circulation. All of your blood travels to both of these pathways. Pulmonary circulation happens between the lungs and the heart. It begins when the oxygen-poor blood enters the superior and inferior vena cava. The blood is carried from the right atrium to the right ventricle, where it is pumped into the lungs through the pulmonary artery. From the pulmonary arteries, the blood enters the capillaries in the lungs, where gas exchange occurs. All the way through the pulmonary vein, the oxygen-rich blood returns to the left atrium and then into the left ventricle. In the process, oxygen is picked up and carbon dioxide is expelled out. Systematic circulation occurs between the heart and the rest of the body. It starts when the oxygen-rich blood leaves the left ventricle. The oxygen-rich blood is pumped into the aorta, where it is distributed to the different parts of the body. If the oxygen is used up, the blood returns to the heart. So on top would be the pulmonary circulation, and at the bottom here is the systematic circulation. Now, there are diseases associated with the circulatory system. Let's start first by talking about hypertension. Hypertension is also known as high blood pressure. Blood pressure can be measured using an instrument called a sphygmomanometer. Now, blood pressure refers to the force of blood pushing against the walls of the arteries as the heart pumps the blood. A normal range of blood pressure for young adults is 120/80, and a hypertensive person experiences the pressure that is higher than normal in the arteries. As you can see here, we have systole and diastole. Systole measures the pressure in the arteries when the heart muscle contracts. Diastole measures the pressure in the arteries when the heart muscle relaxes. Hypertension can be caused by several factors. As one ages, blood pressure gradually increases. The cholesterol found in food coats the inside of the arteries. As a result, arteries become hard and very narrow, increasing blood pressure. Obesity also causes high blood pressure. Second one is arteriosclerosis, which is a disease caused by a buildup of cholesterol and fats into the arterial wall. The buildup of fat stiffens and narrows the arteries, hampering blood flow through the heart. Third is anemia. Anemia is a condition in which the body does not produce sufficient and healthy red blood cells. Hence, insufficient hemoglobin is delivered throughout the body. A person with anemia feels weak and gets tired easily. Fourth is varicose veins. Varicose veins result from the widening and bulging of veins due to the defective or loose valves within the veins. Varicose veins are commonly found in the thighs and legs. These veins swell and become painful. Prolonged standing and aging contribute to the development of varicose veins. Lastly, we have leukemia. Leukemia is characterized by too much production of white blood cells in the blood. To maintain a healthy and functional circulatory system, it is important to take care of them properly. Here are some good practices. Number 1 is exercise. It helps maintain a healthy body system. Physical exercise makes your lungs and heart stronger. Second is proper diet. Proper diet is essential in the prevention of the onset of the circulatory and respiratory diseases. Number 3 is do not smoke, because cigarettes contain harmful substances that can affect the respiratory and the circulatory organs. Lastly, we have time to relax and be free from stress. Stress forces the heart to pump harder, increasing blood pressure and the risk of heart attack. Getting good sleep is good for the heart. Now that we learned some parts of the circulatory system in this video, let's go back to the chapter concept map. Our human body system is always going to be affected by ailments that can be prevented by practicing healthy lifestyles and proper care. The human body system, like the circulatory system, includes the heart, blood, and blood vessels.
If you have questions about the topic, feel free to type it in the comments below. If you learned something today, don't forget to like this video, and if you're interested in more educational videos to come, click that subscribe and notification bell to be notified on the latest videos. I'll see you guys on my next video. And don't forget, you are your only limit.